Okay, so obviously some of you have already read about me and looked me up and all that kind of thing, but I'm just a very ordinary girl, very simple, and I come from a less than ordinary background, and I'm going to share some of that with you today. So as women, there's always been a need for us to work much harder than men, even if we all start on an even keel. Unfortunately, I didn't. My life began with my parents actually not having a home, not having a house, and not having anywhere to live. My father actually served with the British Army, and he worked in India for quite a long period of time. And before I was born, or before I came around into this world, my parents had already lost 4 children to absolute poverty and malnutrition, all before the ages of 6 months. And then I turned up with my little sister Vanessa, and we lived behind people's houses, under their stairs. Sometimes they fed us, sometimes they looked after us, and sometimes they told my mom, you just have to move on because we can't afford to look after all of you. For a very long time, I didn't understand how badly off we were until I learned later that my parents were so badly off. Just imagine being, working in the British Army, and then after India got her independence, the British were given 1 year in which to leave the country. And many hundreds of families loved India, like I do, and they refused to go back. They were like, no, this is where we want to stay. So my father was one such person. So we stayed there, and then I learned that my family was so badly off that they actually had to bury our little ones, twins, Kimberly and Alan, a boy and a girl, and 2 sisters, Carol and Minnie, in actually tea cases, because we couldn't even afford coffins. We were that badly off. But my little sister Vanessa and myself, we went to stay under a flight of stairs where it was a communal area. People washed their clothes and washed their utensils, had a bath, bathed their children, went to the toilet, and that's where we stayed for a very, very long time. And this was after my father having one cardiac arrest after the other, because my eldest sister, Donna, was almost kidnapped, and there was just a mountain of problems that crept into the lives of my parents, and we all came along at that unfortunate time. But those are my parents. They're not with us today, and that's me, the chubby one, and Vanessa. She's a teacher today in England. And this is a picture of the picture that you've seen on the cover of my book is actually our first home, my very first home under a flight of stairs. My second home was actually in a proper slum where, to give you an idea very quickly in the interest of time, over 3,000 people shared 3 toilets. There was hardly any electricity. You were very lucky if you had electricity 1 day a week. There was no sanitary conditions, and the only things that we had to share were just vermin, and more vermin, as you can appreciate what happens in one of the worst slums on the planet. That's where we grew up. The place still stands today. If you were to visit Indian English, the book website, you would see documentaries after documentaries and press interviews and all of that being done, where the place still stands today, including the place under the steps, including the slum and things like that.
Where was this?
In Calcutta, in the city of Calcutta in India. They were the poorest of the poor who actually saved our lives. They were vegetable women who kept all the bad, potatoes and tomatoes for us and gave it to us every day. We would come home, cut it up, cook it and have it. There was a milkman who actually saved my sister's life. There were meat men who used to keep the bones for us. We used to come home, boil it and drink it. There's been such sad times in my lives that I could obviously write another book or be here till tomorrow telling you everything about it, but that's not the reason why I'm here today. I knew very clearly when I was about 12 or 13 years old that my family didn't come from a business background. My family didn't come from a background a very affluent background. We had no money. We hardly had a proper college education. So my only hope or opportunity was not to outsmart anyone, but I had one choice: I could outwork anyone. That's what I could do. And that's why I say sometimes to shine, you don't really need to be more, you just need to do more. As my father said, you people have no opportunity except adversity. So you got to find what you have and you've got to make the best of it, and you've got to really work very hard to make the grade. So I won't tell you, but that working hard and working as hard as men and working doubly hard and trying to keep up and trying to do the best. And every bank, I have 23-year career in banking. Every bank I worked for, I walked in and said, please give me another job. Even when I worked in Bank of America in India, I was the head of their charity division, the president, and I was also working as an EA for the CEO, but I also had my own assistant. When I came to this country, I walked into RBS and I said, you can give me 2 jobs. He said, it's not allowed in this country, Jillian. I said, nobody needs to know, just give me the job. Only you and me need to know, right? Just give me the job. So I stayed there and I spent all my waking hours there, and I got them to mentor me, I got them to like me, and I worked because I knew I had a dream just like each one of you in this room do. And that's the reason I say the world is changing, because now there are very senior executives realizing that actually there are studies being done that women actually have very many advantages, you know, against men. And I can tell you this because I worked, as I said, in banking for 23 years. I have worked with some of the brightest minds on the planet, and I have seen this change. I'm going to show you this change. So yes, Forbes have done a fantastic bit of research on how and what are the advantages that women have over men when it comes either to the business world or either to the workplace. So there's quite a lot in that article, but I've just picked out a few gold nuggets to share with you. And one of it is that there are more women completing MBA degrees these days. There are also very many women who are now getting to managerial and business, you know, high-level positions. And actually countries like the Philippines and Jamaica are actually topping the charts. And this is, you know, an article that I downloaded to show you the statistics. The UK and the US are not far behind. So there was a time when that gap was there, but that gap is slowly closing. Many women are really getting to the top and getting to that even keel with the men when it comes to managerial and business positions. When it comes to non-profits and women running non-profits, as you can see, even CEOs, women CEOs, just imagine the lists from 1955, and in 2017, it's the first year that we have more women CEOs on the planet than ever before. What are the 3 takeaways that I want to show you from the research that Forbes magazine has done? The first is these are very simple principles, but they are principles that A, have worked for me, and B, I hope it works for you. So Forbes have pointed out that the first thing that works for women, which we don't see, is that we are natural givers. Now I know when I was writing my book, I have even the closest of people in my life who've told me, please stop all this mumbo jumbo of giving and caring. Get into a different mindset. Yeah? Try to be this man, yeah? This go-getter, this tough guy. Please understand that this is not going to work. Please understand that hundreds and hundreds of people have written such type of books. You're not going to go anywhere with it. You're going to have 6 books and nobody's going to buy it. Nothing's going to happen for you. I have been told that. Because deep down, I am a giver. That's who I am. I cannot change myself, irrespective of how tough I appear to be on the surface. Again, like I say, when I was told the mumbo jumbo, yes, this is what they mean. Yeah, when you give more away to people, more will come back. Keep giving, keep caring, and all that kind of sunshine, which they call it. But I want to tell you, there was a time in my life when I was a little girl, and obviously because of what was done for us, I wanted nothing more than to help hundreds and hundreds of people. That was my dream. I never wanted to be in business or an author or anything like that. So from a little girl, when my mom used to give us a little pocket money, maybe just 1 rupee each, which is very, very little, which is like your 10 pence or something like that, my sister and myself used to buy a little bottle of jam or half a pack of butter and a loaf of bread, and we used to run to the aged home to make all the old ladies sit down on chairs, and we used to put one slice of bread on their laps and give them all a little butter and jam, and they used to love us because they never ever got that, So one day we were on this mission, very happy with the bread and the jam running down the street, and we walked into this home, and we saw this poor lady. She was lying like almost in a crib. She was that elderly. And we ran to her because she couldn't come to us, and we lifted her up, and they said to us, she's very ill and she's very elderly, so be careful. So when going there, we lifted her up, and I combed her little gray hair, and my sister Vanessa, cut off the crusts of the slice and fed her the bread and stuff. And when we started to talk to her, we realized, oh my goodness, this is Mrs. Cleophas. Mrs. Cleophas was a person that actually brought a lot of distress and hurt to my life. I didn't recognize her. And I want to tell you why. When we were living under the stairs, my sister Vanessa and myself got very ill because of the way we were living, in the wet, the damp, no roof above our heads. She was a kind of friend to my mom, a British lady. And my mom said, will you keep them for me because they're getting very ill here? So she said to my mom, of course, bring them to me. And every day she would teach us ABC and 1, 2, 3 or whatever, little girls. And she would put us on the floor with our books and pencils, and we would do that. But for some reason, she disliked me, and she loved Vanessa, because if Vanessa stood still, she was like a living doll. I just wasn't. So that's okay. But she had a very different concept of punishment. So she would take me every day. She would tell my mom her one eye is horizontal and another eye is vertical, and she's not going to be able to deliver anything in life. So please get that very clear. And my mom used to say, yes, I understand that, I believe that. But please try to teach her. So every day she would take me by the ear down a flight of stairs, and there was an Indian-style toilet. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen an Indian-style toilet, but it's about this big. It's, you sit on your haunches, and it's about as tall as this ad. And every day in that toilet, there were just probably thousands of giant cockroaches. And every day she would take me by the ear, put me in there, close the door and put off the light. Every day. I became such a traumatic child, such a child that I couldn't even say my name. I became so scared. So sometimes when it was 11 o'clock in the day and it was a rainy day and getting dark, I would just wet myself because I thought it was time for me to be put in there. I became so traumatized. But when my mom ever visited, my mom always used to say, are you saying your pleases and your thank yous and you're being good and you're helping? My mom, we wouldn't get a word in to say that this is happening. Till one day when my mom visited, I did wet myself, and my mom knew that something is drastically wrong, so she took us, and I cannot tell you, it was the happiest day of my life. Leaving her and going back to live under the stairs was just a joy beyond imagination. So when I saw Mrs. Cleophas in this aged home, and she said, I'm Mrs. Cleophas, she didn't recognize us. But we loved her. We knew what she had done. And Vanessa said to me, leave her alone. And I was like, no. We love her. I have to tell you this because women have this ability, irrespective of what's been done to us or who does what to us, we have this ability to understand the rule, the NLP rule, which is a person is not their behavior. A person is separate from their behavior. We are able to look at a client who has really hurt us and last minute not given us a deal, but we are able to still rekindle that fire. We are able to forgive. We are able to move on. We have that ability to be soft and yet to be hard. We have these special qualities as women. When it comes to nonprofits, as you can see, globally, 75% of the nonprofit workforce is run by women. That is not a small number, and there is a reason why this is so. But coming back to my own life example, these are only some of the businesses that I manage today. But while I can be very tough and I can get my businesses going, I can also, and this is what I want to show you, I can also be very soft. And just in September, I was invited, as you all know that Mother Teresa was given her sainthood this year, I was invited to Mother House in the city of Calcutta, where they stopped all the traffic and they had a police escort, and I was given the Mother Teresa International Memorial Award for the work that I do apart from my business. So we have 5 study centers of screaming children, all street children. We have food banks for the aged, and some people sign their ration cards with their feet. My own sister runs our disabled center. We have training centers for the youth, because there are just millions of little ones, young ones, who have degrees, but they can't speak a word of English. They finish school, but they have no idea where to go. They're totally lost. We also have a huge center of almost 400 women now, of just women who are in desperate need. And of course, we have 6 teams working 24/7 to try and reach every life and every person, every man, every woman, and every child. So you can achieve your dreams. But how do you achieve it without money? How do you fund such a huge initiative? How do you get specially invited for such huge, global awards? But coming back to Forbes and the article, the second thing he mentions is that women are brilliant networkers. We are just simply gifted with this. Now, why are women gifted with this? I want to tell you a story. Again, going back to the bank, I'm still very, very friendly with 2 people. Keith, who's a banker, sales guy, and I'm also very friendly with Anne, who's also a saleswoman. I'm friendly with everyone from my past, and we are all very, very close even till this day. I worked with them on the same transaction banking flow, and I watched them every step of the way. Keith is a go-getter. He doesn't have time to wait, and he doesn't have time to think. He wants to close every deal as quickly as possible to clock up his targets and deliver his objectives and get that huge bonus. That's all he has in mind. Whereas I have to tell you about Anne. She is the kind of person, if she comes back from a business deal and it's gone sour and she hasn't got the deal, and she would sit at her desk, I've watched the secretary, who's the pool PA, go there and say to Keith, "Can I have a moment?" And he's like, "Don't talk to me now. I can't talk now." But you go to Anne and you say, "Can I have a moment?" And she'll say, "Yes, of course. How can I help you? What can I do?" They're very different personalities, and I've watched this over 13 years of both of them wining and dining clients, coming back with lost deals, won deals. I have had them come out of meeting rooms in tears, and you've had Keith come out of the meeting room and say, "I don't want to talk now, he's a whatever moron," that's his boss. But I've had Anne come out and say, it doesn't matter, onwards and upwards. Yeah? I can tell you that I know these two people even today. Keith is doing amazingly well. He is still the head of his entire sales team. But Anne is now the CEO of another bank. And this is where Forbes are so good at the research that they do. Why do they say that women are better at long-term relationships? This is what businesses and companies are realizing. Why are women good at forming long-term relationships and bringing long-term supply chain deals back to your organization? Why? Think about a woman for a moment. You have a baby. Even before you leave your hospital bed or even before you deliver, you're already thinking, which play school should I put my child in, right? You're already thinking, which school, which college, what if they grow up? What if we move? What if something happens? You're already thinking the future. That ability actually doesn't only work when you have a child. That ability also works when you are in business, because your business is very much your own, very dear to you. It also works with your family. It also works with your other first of kin, your siblings and things like that. So a woman is always thinking long term of how to better anything that is important in her life. That is why most senior big organizations like Google and Virgin, etc., are now realizing that there is an asset within these women. That's why I showed you that article of, you made the cover of Forbes, of why men wish to work with women. The last point I'm going to share with you is women are naturally wired to think, act, and innovate like immigrants. Think Angela Merkel. Think of what she did for immigrants. Think of how she opened herself up to so much abuse. But she did it and they love her for that. Why do women do this? Because women actually can see things that others don't. This can prove it. And if your little things in your own lives can prove it. I have seen it a million times. I can see things long before my husband has even, thought about it. I already know what's coming. Also, they do things that others don't. Think calendar girls. When it comes to your business, when it comes to your ROI, you need people who will take those risks. And women will take those risks. I know I face it every day with my own husband, who says, no, that's enough. You've given too much. Can't give any more. No, we can't start that initiative now. And while he's talking to me, I'm going, yes, it's already started 6 months ago. It's fine. It doesn't matter, right? So that is where women come in. We also have the ability never to give up. We don't normally give up that quickly. We do fight. We have this inner instinct of pushing an idea to the point of destruction. We will keep trying and we will keep fighting and we will keep pushing our ideas forward until we make the break. I want to give you a little story from my own life. I told you when we were living in the slum, my fifth sibling, Susan, was brought home by my mom and placed on the bed. And we had only a little room, 8 by 10 feet, and hardly any electricity and everything. And my mom placed her on the bed and said, she's not going to make it like the others, because she was badly malnourished. You could have taken a knitting needle and put it into her eye, and it would have touched her eye at the back. And of course, my mom's friends came and made the sign of the cross on her forehead and said, may the baby go in peace and all of that. But I was only 8. And I looked at her and I thought, I love her. The first two girls, my siblings who I lost, I wasn't around. I was around for the twins when they were buried, but I was very, very little. But now I was at an age where I knew I could do something. So I looked at her and I thought, no, I don't want her to go. I loved her little fingers and her toes and everything. So I thought, where can I get milk from? Babies need milk. That's what I thought. But we were not living on any farm. So I took my little bowl and I rushed to the nearest tea shop, which still stands till this day. And I said to him, Ashok, please, can you give me a little milk? And he used to look at me and say, milk comes free or what? You can't just give milk like that. It's very expensive. And of course, over there, they put a bucket of water in the milk to, make it go a long way. But I still used to stand there with my bowl and, he used to say, you are annoying the customers who are all coming in the shop every now and then. You better go. But I wouldn't go. I would go to the side and I would still stand, and I would go a little back and I would still stand. And every day he used to take up that bowl of milk, dip it in his big vessel and give it to me. And every day I used to run home, press Susan's cheeks together, feed it to her with a teaspoon. In the free hospitals in India, they give you a little envelope with little powdered homeopathic medicine in it. I used to put that in the milk, mix it up and give it to her. And let me tell you, I tried, I fanned her, I sat with her. I knew she was dying. My mom already said she's going to go. The country had definitely given up on us. The community had given up on us. The doctor definitely had given up on us. And my parents, in a way, had already given up because they knew that she didn't have any hope at all. But this is a woman's instinct. I'm going to show you. Susan graduated from Birkbeck University in this country. She topped her university. Her picture was on every tube and every bus. I was very proud of her. Today she's married to Scott, who's an Australian boy. She's had Samantha, who is 3 years old, and only last month she's given birth to Oliver, a beautiful baby boy. So this is a little girl who had no hope. And I can tell you because we already lost 4 siblings before her. But this is us. We are women. We don't give up that easily. Coming back to my dream as a person, like I said, I didn't want to open a business or be an entrepreneur or an author. I had no such dreams. The only dream I ever dreamed of was helping hundreds and hundreds of people. I just wanted to reach as many as I could, because what happened to us as children really stayed with me. And I knew I had to do something about it. But I also knew that getting money out of people is like getting blood out of a stone. So I had to work very hard in order to do that. As Michelle Obama says, it really doesn't matter where you come from, which council estate you come from, which slum you come from, which country you come from. It doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is what we have going on within us. Like I said, I want to just share these points with you, again, to tell you that wherever you are now in your business, wherever you are, just try not to focus on the start, but try to think big. Try to focus on the end result. Always keep the end result in mind. Understand that you're brilliant at networking, and use your caring and your nurturing skills in order to put different initiatives into your business that can actually draw people to you. Esther Lauder, Google, people like that are doing brilliant work in the communities, in the world, in the country, because they have started off with putting people first. I learned this from Esther Lauder. And I can only tell you, this is some of the media that I've received. But if you visit JillianHaslam.com, you will see a lot more of all of that, a lot more television interviews and radio interviews and all of that. But this book is currently being made into a Hollywood movie and is going to be start shooting next year. After I wrote the book, I sold 250,000 copies, maybe a bit more. And trust me, as you well know, I'm less than ordinary. I am no business entrepreneur. All I did was go with my instincts. Now, I can stand here and I can tell you that in London, regularly we do courses on why tell your story and how to turn it into a wealth-producing brand, because I've done it. We do courses on the ultimate business machine, how to start your business from scratch, how to do it, where to go, and how to sell yourself and how to be better. We do a course on how to write a book and get it to the top and turn it into a movie. We do plenty of courses, and all of it is on my website, but that is not the point. To learn all of that takes time. To learn all of that, we've got to sit and we've got to do mastermind sessions. We have got to do brainstorming, and we've got to help. But that's what was done for me. But that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to make here is that we need to use these skills within us. I see everywhere I speak, I find many women who are so stressed out. They are competitive. They're highly competitive. They don't want to share their information because they think some other woman is going to take it and run away with it. And I always say, if you want anything of mine, just have it. Because ultimately, you can't be me. We all have something different. We all may share a business idea. We all may be in a room and we all may be authors. We all may be entrepreneurs. But I have been taught never to look at somebody from a competitive edge. I've always been taught to realize that we all have this greatness within us. But it's only when we stop that competitive streak, when we stop being stressed out and we stop trying to get to the very top and we stop trying to get all worked up, and we understand that what are our internal instincts and how can we use that to our advantage. Once we do that, and I can tell you, I want to share a little poem with you, very small little poem with you to make you understand this point. It goes like this. Every single blade of grass and every flake of snow is different. There are no two alike, From something small, like grains of sand, to each gigantic star, each one of us was made with this in mind, to be just who we are. How foolish then to imitate, how useless to pretend, when each one of us come from a mind whose ideas never end. There'll only be just one of me to prove what I can do, but equally, you should be really and truly proud that there is only one of you. I want to tell you all that we shall always rise as women. We have it within us to rise. And like I said, I come from a less than ordinary background. I come from nothing. I didn't even have a home. And today, sometimes I can't even believe what has happened and what is still happening. I got put up last week for an OBE, and things just keep happening, and the movie will happen, and the charities will expand, and the media never stops chasing me and all of that. But nothing has happened because I wanted to get every single business thing nailed down, and how many targets and how much percentage and what's happening in this. They say the only reason we worry about the how is because we don't allow our natural instincts to work for us. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time. And if there's anything I'm doing. So if there's any questions, I'm more than happy.
Sorry, I missed the slide where it was the third element from the Ford study. The first one was a giver, the second one was networking and long-term relationships. What was the third?
The third one was we have this basic instinct of never giving up. Remember my sister's story on the bed of how I was a child. I never knew all this never give up thing and all that. I know I never knew all this. It was just there, and it's within each of you. It is there. So I was told once by a very intelligent man that, Jillian, don't worry about, I used to rush to the business courses and take down all my notes and fill up pads, and he was like, Jillian, put all that away. You're never going to look at that pad again. Trust me. You're never going to remember what you wrote there. Please trust me. Just remember that slow and steady wins the race. Yeah? get the right guidance, get the right mentoring, get everything done right. And then you will have the money to get the best help. So today, I can afford to pay a content writer £150 for one page to write content, one page. So I've just paid £15,000 for one website, which is, if you go to remediatrust.org, which is the charity, because we won the Mother Teresa Award, it's just been loaded yesterday. But we've paid him over 12 months, £1,250 a month, to work with us as an ex-PwC consultant to set that up properly. But you can get there. You can get there if you make use, firstly, of what's going on within. And if you can definitely, I had a girl once when my book was out who was very abusive, because obviously, she was very abusive, and I didn't understand it. And I had a very senior person send me an inbox message on Facebook, say, Jillian, ignore her. She's written 4 books and it's gone nowhere. That's the reason for the abuse. And I felt so sad. I thought, I can help you. I can take your book to where it's never been before. I can take your business there. I've done it. I've been there. I've done that. Please let me help you. But you don't get that, you see? And that's what I want you to realize. So if you're writing a book, don't write it very quickly. Don't go to somebody who can say, I can put a book together for you. You know what? I'll have the book ready in 2 months. No. Let that book come from within. As I told you, when I first wrote the book, I had people saying, they'll eat you up and spit you out. There's hundreds of sad books on the shelves. No one's going to buy that, right? It's not going to happen. Everyone has a sad story. I said, not like mine. You're talking to the wrong person. If you have that belief, your battle is won. I never knew that a British screenwriter is going to call me and say, Jillian, I've just accidentally come across your book. I'd love to turn it into a screenplay. And his name is Neil O'Neill. You can look up. And by the way, you can go to indianenglishthemovie.com and look at the trailer. It's all there. He said, I'll write a screenplay. And I said, okay. And he wrote it, and he entered it into the Monaco Film Festival. And it won the best screenplay award in the epic and historical category. One of the judges have compared the book to Gandhi. And that's where Hollywood picked it up from. So you don't know where you're going to go. But you have to look to be different. Because you are different. Each one of us are different. So at our business courses, we make sure that we don't get into all the stats till the second day. We make sure that firstly, we understand what is it that you can sell that is different, that people will look for, and that you can turn into a major success. So think of these things. Other than that, there's nothing to buy and nothing to sell today.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.